You know, only in extreme narcissism can one truly understand that when I stare into your eyes, I see nothing but a lost genius. You're basically a kid who's been shocked by the world. You're undoubtedly a genius, but no one can truly see what's beneath the mask. You dared criticize our genuine bond based on a painting genius, how? You thought I understood your struggles. Do you think him some kind of superhero who knows the struggles you face? I've heard too many spider stories. Does that even help you? Honestly, I'm totally indifferent to this, you know? I can't learn anything from books. Unless you're willing to talk about yourself and who you really are. Jack has finally broken through his inner walls. He hid behind cold laughs, violence, pretending to be strong, but inside, a scared kid. On a rainy night, he tried to call that Harvard girl, but once he got through, he just clammed up and hung up. He was so used to hiding in his shell, but deep down, he craved change. The next day, he managed to muster the courage to show up at old Joe's office. This time, Jack was surprisingly quiet. Old Joe didn't speak either because he knew the other wouldn't open up. Saying more was vain. Their third meeting ended silently. Until one day, Jack reportedly met her again at the store. Faced with Jack, the girl opened up about her past. She was orphaned at a young age, having lived with her uncle ever since. Jack never mentioned his own background, but he could feel their souls slowly converging. Jack realized he was out of options and turned to old Joe for help. He told old Joe he met the perfect girl, and old Joe promptly said, "Then ask her out." But Jack worried that as they got to know each other better, he'd start to reveal more and more flaws, potentially ruining their perfect images of one another. Old Joe, being a veteran himself, immediately understood what Jack was afraid of, so he began to share his own story. Old Joe said, "My wife used to love to argue. When she got mad, she had this special talent. She would often yell while sleeping. Sorry, I just had to share that. Sometimes in the night she'd scream, waking the dog. She'd ask, 'Who are you?' I'd reply, 'Who are you asking?' Jack was all ears, and old Joe continued, 'After my wife passed away, it was those little quirks that made me miss her more. We know each other's flaws, and accepting imperfections lets us enter each other's worlds. That's life's romance. When you truly love someone, you'll appreciate all their flaws. Let me remind you, don't aim for perfection. This girl has her flaws too. The key question is, are you perfect? That's the crux of the matter.' With old Joe's wise counsel, Jack finally gathered his courage to go on a date, only to find out he didn't have time right then because he had to finish a chemistry assignment. So he told Jack to come back another day. Jack was restless. He darted over to a cafe, scribbled a bunch of complicated chemistry equations on a napkin, and handed it to the girl. What others took a whole day to finish, he completed in 3 minutes. Thus began their date. Later, they went to the dog races. The girl was thrilled, holding binoculars, while Jack was just mesmerized by her. She knew he was the one she wished to spend her life with. Later, she even introduced Jack to her best friends. That night, they finally defined their relationship, but at the same time, the professor and old Joe were at odds. The professor wanted Jack to quickly apply his talents to practical work and contribute to the advancement of the nation and humanity. But old Joe thought it was too early, as he believed Jack, though gifted, wasn't mentally mature yet. Imposing excessive control over him would result in a counterproductive effect. While they were still arguing, another issue arose. Jack and his girlfriend had a sweet time together. But soon his girlfriend wanted to study for the GRE and needed to move to California for preparations. She hoped Jack would join her, but he refused, because his best friends were here, and he certainly didn't want to lose that valuable support. He feared that in a new environment, she would discover his flaws and ditch him. After all, she was a Harvard graduate, and he was just a poor kid from the slums. His insecurities prevented him from facing their relationship. Facing kisses, Jack finally revealed his carefully concealed past. I never thought this was a sickness, but because a dead person was haunting me. Hila, don't you want to hear my story? I came here to help you, Kayla. I have a thumbs up on my back, it's to save me. No, I merely wish to take you along. Don't conceal it from me, confess that you love me. Jack was too scared to be honest, and again he sealed off his heart. As time passed, he became a completely different person, no longer patiently helping the professor solve problems. When the professor brought the answers head solved to ask questions, Jack couldn't be bothered to explain and instead snapped. Because this was not the life he wanted. He mocked the professor for working his whole life only to fail at simple problems, infuriating the professor. But the professor held his anger back, while Jack felt his previous remarks weren't sharp enough. At that moment, Jack wouldn't listen. Like a porcupine, he spiked everyone away, rejecting the NSA olive branch. Watching Jack's growing agitation, old Joe couldn't help but ask him, "Do you have a soulmate?" Jack could only mumble a yes, but he couldn't specify who it was. Old Joe continued, "No matter if you work for the government or contribute to humanity, I simply want you to comprehend what it is that you truly love. What is it precisely that your heart truly desires within you? Some people spend their whole lives hauling bricks just to create opportunities for their kids like what you have now. However, you are actively running away from it all." Old Joe asked him with a serious tone, "Since you can sweep floors anywhere and the pay is similar, then why did you choose MIT? Why are you secretly solving problems that only 2 people in the world understand? Maybe what you truly desire is actually something that you haven't fully grasped yet." Jack, overcome by a moment of shame and anger, ended up insulting old Joe by calling him a coward. Saying he'd been a coward for years for not getting out from under the shadow of losing his wife and that Joe had no right to educate him. On the way back, Jack suddenly reached out to that girl again, listening to her heartfelt confession on the phone. He offered a bitter smile and softly told her to take good care of herself. In just a few days, Jack erected his spikes and mercilessly hurt everyone who deeply loved him. In the following days, Jack stopped looking for anyone and focused entirely on working at the construction site with his buddies. It seemed he had accepted a mundane fate. While chatting, his friend asked when he'd go back to school, and Jack boldly said, "I plan to stay here forever."